Hey guys, Probo1701 here, and today we're going to be talking about future Doctor Who animations, and I'm going to lay out my theory for how they're going to come out for the remainder of their run, looking at 2022 through when I think they will finish up if I was predicting in 2027. Now, some of these ideas have popped in my head from things I've read from other people, so they're not all originally just stuff I thought up. I have been listening to what other people have saying. You know, been on the merchandise forum listening to what people have been talking about. I know Gordon laid out his plan, and Gordon's like one of these guys that just seems really in the know. He's really smart with all this Doctor Who stuff. And I really liked a lot of the things he said. A lot of that got incorporated into my list. Because it looks like we might have 3 different teams working on these for the most part. We have BBC Studios, who of course did like the Faceless ones and Evil of the Daleks. To me, they're the top tier animators. Then you have Big Finish Creative, who did Fury from the Deep and Galaxy 4. I have high hopes for Galaxy 4, we'll see. And then you have another branch of like Big Finish Creative. I can't remember the name of the company they brought in that did the 3D work for Web of Fear. And I think there's the potential to have these 3 going at once. The BBC Studios, the 2D branch of Big Finish Creative, and the 3D branch of Big Finish Creative, maybe in collaboration with this other team whose name I forget that did a lot of the work for Web of Fear. I personally like Web of Fear. The animation wasn't the best, but I think it's a good stepping stone. Much how like, you know, Invasion was a good stepping stone for the 2D animations, and then even once they started them back up with Power was a good stepping stone for where we are now. You know, the 2D animations have had to grow and evolve too. You know, Moonbase looks a lot better than Invasion. Macroterra and Evil of the Daleks look a lot better than the original version of Power. So it does get better. And so I definitely think that using 3D animation, Web will be the worst it will look, and they should improve, especially if it's the same team doing the 3D stuff, which I think is what they'll do. Now that they have the technology, they will be working on refining it, making it better. So each 3D animation should get better, hopefully. Now, 2022, I'm going to list the ones. These are the 3 I've been hearing. The ones that everybody seems to be saying. I see a lot of people agreeing on this, so they seem to be in the know, so I'm going to go with that. The one we're pretty sure of, it looks like BBC Studios is going to be working on Abominable Snowmen. This one's, you know, kind of that we pretty much know. It just hasn't been officially confirmed. Abominable Snowmen. Really excited about that because I do love me some Second Doctor. I'm definitely much more partial to him than I am the First Doctor. And I've always wanted to see Abominable Snowmen since it's pretty much the flip coin to Web of Fear. I consider Web of Fear a sequel to it, so I'd really like to see Snowmen so I can kind of have that whole story. I think the Big Finish Creative 3D group will probably be doing Underwater Menace. That's what I seem to be hearing. Hopefully only animating the missing episodes. I don't think you need to animate the whole story. I think you just animate episodes 1 and 4, call it a day. Use that as a chance to tweak and improve the 3D animation, gives them more practice. You know, Underwater Menace isn't exactly a story people are chomping at the bits for. It doesn't have the best reputation, so I think it's much like Web of Fear with only 1 episode, I think it's a good story for them to practice on, just to kind of give us a special edition, let them refine their technique. That way, by the time they get to the stories like Marco Polo and Crusade, you know, they'll have refined it, they'll be better, and it'll be a product that we're like, yeah, that looks good. So I think Underwater Menace is a good stepping stone towards that, since it's not one people are like, yeah, that's in my top 3. I really want some Underwater Menace. I mean, I'm sure there's somebody that does, but not most people, it seems like. So I think the 3D branch of Big Finish Creative will be working on that. And then the one I hear a lot about for maybe Big Finish Creative 2D is the Savages. I hear a lot of people talking about the Savages. I'm not very familiar with the Savages. I believe it's the story where Steven leaves. That's all I really know about it. I'm guessing it's a smaller cast with not a lot of like different locations. I get the impression that kind of like Galaxy 4, it's easy to do. Which is nice. It'd be good to get another Hartnell. I'd definitely like to get another Hartnell after Galaxy 4, and the Savages seems like a safe bet, so I'm going to go ahead and call that one, since that's what I'm hearing from a lot of people. 2023, anniversary year, the big one. I think they're going to try to turn out some good ones. I definitely think BBC Studios will be working on Will in Space. Again, I think BBC Studios is kind of the tier 1 animators at the moment. And I definitely think something like Wheel in Space, since it does involve the Cybermen, plus it's Zoe's first story, plus this will be the last story we need to complete Season 5. I think they will want their top tier people working on it. I think it will be the biggest, most hyped animated release for 2023 again, because it's the Cybermen. Probably it'd be like the last Cyberman story we need. They'll all be available at this point, and again, it completes season 5, so I think they will do that. The 3D company, the Big Finish Creative 3D, I think they'll be working on the Highlanders. Hopefully they will have improved it enough they can do a complete story in 3D now. And even if not, the Highlanders doesn't exactly have the best reputation. But my understanding of the Highlanders is it has a decent sized cast, and it makes it easier to do their little kilts, I think, in 3D than it is 2D. So I think Highlanders is a good one for the 3D treatment. I want to see it just because it's Jamie's first story, and Jamie's one of my favorite companions, even if I know it's not held in the best regard. And then I think for 2D, you go ahead and get out Toy Maker. A lot of people have wanted to do Toy Maker, I think. I think that would be a good one for 2023. It's a good first Doctor story. Well, I haven't ever seen the story. I have read the Target novel probably almost 30 years ago, 25, 30 years ago. And while I don't remember a lot of it, I remember enjoying it a lot. And I really think if you have a Big Finish Creative doing this, they can really do their own thing with it. Much like I think should be done, like what was done with Macroterra and what they seem to be doing with Galaxy 4. I think that it's a good chance to reimagine it. Even though we have episode 4, I think you just go ahead and reimagine the whole thing, especially with its kind of fantasy setting with the games and everything. I really think you can kind of do your own thing with it and not be beholden to the original 60s production. I think you should try to make it larger than life, really go over the top with it. Again, like Macroterra, I think that worked really well for that story. And I think that would be really, really good for Celestial Toy Maker. I'd just kind of ignore episode 4 and just do your own thing with it, because you can still watch episode 4 if you want. I know they'll put the original on there. And that's what I would like to see in 2023. For 2024, I think, since again, you hopefully will be riding high on that wave of excitement everybody had for the anniversary year, I think you go ahead and get out the Crusade. That will be the 3D one from Big Finish Creative 3D. I think you go ahead and do the Crusade. That will be one everybody's excited about. Everybody's always wanted to see the Crusade. And you just animate the missing episodes. If a story half exists, I don't think you animate the whole thing. I think you just animate the missing episodes. So I think you animate the missing episodes of it, which is 2 and 4, as I recall. And that's one I've always wanted to see. Not only that, but you also complete Season 2 right there. With 2023, with Wheel in Space, we completed Season 5. And then in 2024, we would be completing Season 2 with the Crusade. I think for Big Finish Creative 2D, you go ahead and do the Smugglers, because that would be the final story I believe we need for Season 4 at this point, which would be great considering how much of Season 4 had to be animated to complete it. We will complete Season 4. I've always wanted to see the Smugglers, and part of the reason why I do want it, I will admit, is because it's Season 4, and I really want Season 4. I love Season 4 from what I've seen of it. I'm a big Troutman fan. And I've just always wanted to see the Smugglers as well, even though it's a Hartnell story. I've always wanted to see it. And then that completes Season 4. And I think BBC Studios, you go ahead and you give them the Space Pirates. I think you go ahead and do Space Pirates. I know it's not well thought of. I know there's a lot of background stuff going on in it. Sometimes the principal cast wasn't even there. Like the final episode, they were busy filming the War Games, so it's just film inserts. I think it was originally supposed to be a 4-parter, and it got stretched into 2 parts. There's no location work. I know about all the behind-the-scenes stuff. I've already had several people in the comments. It's like, look, I know you like Bob Holmes, but don't get too excited about Space Pirates. It's not as good as you're daydreaming it is. I've had a few people tell me that. I get it. Space Pirates, from the sound of it's pretty dull. Apparently, even Patrick Troughton thought it was pretty dull while they were making it. And I think Wendy doesn't even remember making it. So I don't have high hopes. This is, again, where you let somebody do their own thing with it. You tell Big Finish Creative, do like Macroterra. Do your own thing with it. If you have to trim out some of the dull spaces, cut a minute or 2 out of each episode, I'm fine with that. If you have to trim up some of the flat areas, and then you just make everything bigger. Again, don't be beholden to the original production. Make everything bigger. Try to make Space Pirates more interesting as much as you can without just completely compromising the story. I think that's a good chance to just start from scratch when you're animating it. And just work to the audio as best you can and trim the audio where you have to. Do your own thing with it. Now, in 2025, you give BBC Studios the year off. This is something Gordon mentioned on the forum, and I agree with his idea here. You give BBC Studios this year off because they're busy working on a major project. And since they're the tier 1 animator, I want them on this project. So we're going to give them the year off. We're only going to have 2 stories this year. And we're going to have Big Finish Creative 3D working on Marco Polo. This will be their final story. This will be the last one I think needs to be done in 3D. You give them Marco Polo. I think at this point they have had enough practice doing stories in 3D that the 3D should look better. Plus, technology will have improved. Hopefully, costs will have gone down, and they've had enough practice that the 3D should be a million times better than Web of Fears. Hopefully, it looks good. And then we can get all of Marco Polo done this way, and we can complete Season 1 and get Season 1 out. And then I think you give the 2D branch of them the Mythmakers. You go ahead and do Mythmakers, get it out. I like stuff about the Trojan War. That's always fascinated me, so I'd like to see it. Plus, I know it's Vicky's last story, so I would like to see that. You go ahead and you do that. In 2026, again, the 3D branch is done, so we only have 2 stories this year. You do Dalek's Master Plan Part 1, BBC Studios. They've spent all of last year and part of this year, 2026, working on it. You do Part 1 of Dalek's Master Plan, which is either the first 6 parts or Mission to the Unknown and the first 6 parts. You go ahead, you get that out. Hopefully they've had enough time to make it look amazing. Nice 2D production. And then you have Big Finish Creative do The Massacre. Great chance to see Hartnell in dual roles. I know a lot of people are fond of this one. A lot of people want this one. I think you go ahead and put that one out right now. And hopefully they'll do a good job with it. And then in 2027, when I think we should complete it, first off, I personally want my Fury from the Deep Special Edition. You give Big Finish Creative another opportunity. You tell them to actually listen to the story and make the animation tonally match it, because the animation, sadly, that we have for Fury from the Deep doesn't match the tone of the story at all. I don't think Gary Russell, or that his name, Gary Russell, I don't think he knew what he was doing. Let's make all the rooms bigger. No, it's a creepy, scary, atmospheric story. You want them crammed in small spaces. That's the point. So basically anything Gary Russell says, do the opposite. We want the rooms bigger, and you heard him, make the rooms smaller. We want it bright in colors. Dull and muted colors. Let's make it creepy and scary. It's supposed to be a creepy, scary, atmospheric story. We need the animation to match that. So give me my Fury from the Deep Special Edition. That's what I want personally. You can crowdfund that, and I will throw $100 down on that today. Whatever the $100 tier is, I'm in. And finally, I think November 23rd, 2027, BBC Studios releases Dalek's Master Plan Part 2. I think that is the perfect story to finish off the animations on. You go out with a bang. You cap it off. You give us Dalek's Master Plan Part 2, the final 6 episodes, with animation that just looks absolutely amazing, like better than Macroterra if you can. And that completes Season 3, because I figure Season 3 will be the last box set we get at the rate we're going. And I think Dalek's Master Plan is a good swan song for the animations. And if we go by this list, Season 5 will be completed in 2023. Season 2, Season 4, and Season 6 will be completed in 2024. Season 1 in 2025. And Season 3 in 2027. That is my thoughts on how I would like them to play out. And not necessarily my favorites and how I would want them, but just trying to be realistic, considering certain stories with their large cast and stuff, it would probably be better to do them in 3D, and you can only have, a team working on one a year. I'm trying to do them in a way that I like and in a way that just realistically, logically makes sense. And again, that may be asking a lot, asking for 3 a year for the next 3 years, maybe so. Personally, I would rather them take their time and only release 1 or 2 a year if they have to. I would rather them take their time, and I'd get a nice, great, polished product like Evil of the Daleks, than them get rushed by deadlines and I get something else that looks like Fury from the Deep, which, as much as it's nothing against Big Finish Creative, while I don't agree with some of their artistic choices, I do think a lot of it was down to the time. It just screams of a story that was rushed and had deadlines to meet. I think that's a terrible idea. So I'd rather them take the time if they have to, even if we can't get 3 a year. But this is kind of my list. I'd like to know what you think, so comment down below and let me know what you think, how the rest of the animations are going to play out. Kind of what you want and more realistically. Combine that. What you want realistically. Other things to do, click the like button, click the subscribe button, click the bell for notifications so you never miss out on another video. I also have a Patreon. If you like what I do and want to contribute to what I do, there is a link to that down in the description below. For the entire month of October, anyone who subscribes at any tier level will have access to any videos I put out, plus past videos. Any polls I do, you will be able to vote in that as well. That's something usually reserved for like the $10 and up tier levels, but just for this month only, any tier level will have access to that. And I will be ranking the doctors soon. That will be a Patreon only video, so anyone who joins at any tier level will have access to that through the month of October. Most importantly though, thank you for watching.